All right, everyone, welcome to the Crafted for Action virtual conference, DEI Burnout and Craft Beer. We have an amazing panel coming up. I'm our virtual moderator, so please post your comments in the chat and we'll get to them at the end of it. Thanks, everyone.
Hi, thank you all so much for attending today. My name's Ruvenita Silva, and we're going to be talking today about DEI burnout in craft beer, how to not give up without imploding. So, as some of you may know, I'm a beverage and food writer specializing in beer and DEI advocacy. I hope somewhat assume that most of you are watching here today because being part of a diverse and equitable industry means something to you, which is great. Today, we have a panel of some of the most well-respected and brilliant equality activists in the industry, and we're all exhausted. A year ago, I wrote an article for UK-based magazine Pellicle about DEI burnout in the beer industry. I was feeling it personally and observing it seeping into the fabric of the beer world. As breweries quietly rolled back programs, known predators were sadly returned to positions of power, media coverage dwindled, and financing for initiatives disappeared. The energy and politics that led the beer industry to champion Black Lives Matter and Me Too and hold perpetrators to account felt completely over. The interviews in this article highlighted the damage that this rollback was having on activists and advocates working tirelessly to uphold equality standards, with fewer and fewer resources and support. Fast forward to Trump 2.0, and the picture is even more grim. Not only are we lacking support, we are actively under fire as the new administration wages a war to demonize DEI and everyone associated with it, fueling a violent backlash against all progressive work, attempting to effectively outlaw all attempts to promote diversity, and feeding propaganda and misinformation to the media. As a writer, I've experienced this backlash personally on multiple levels. The same article, so well received in the UK that it won a gold medal with the British Guild of Beer Writers, was critiqued quite heavily by the North American Beer Guild, who falsely claimed that DEI has not proven to be something that increases the bottom line, which everyone who works in DEI knows has been disproven multiple times. They also said that putting the onus for DEI on brewery owners feels like the wrong tack. It's very hard to imagine these opinions being voiced back in 2021. Another, perhaps more perception, it was just a couple of years ago that nearly every article in this category, comment and criticism, was about DEI. And today, it's a very small margin, something that we can all see in the beer media. This, along with the lack of articles, fewer writers from marginalised groups being commissioned, highlights the negative impact of the current political climate on beer media, which is somewhat obviously leading to writers from marginalised groups experiencing high levels of burnout, some even leaving the industry. As our community and our industry become increasingly polarised, misconceptions about what a diverse workforce means spread from talk to action, and our remaining activists and advocates are more burnt out than ever, facing everything from taproom confrontations to online abuse to lack of employment. If you're here, I hope it means that you want to help. And the purpose of this discussion today is to consider the specific issues we're facing and the key ways in which you can do that. The primary takeaways we're aiming to offer you are to understand what DEI burnout is and why it's happening in craft beer, to understand the importance of DEI work for our industry and why its rollback is damaging for everyone, not just those from marginalised groups, and to learn how you can support DEI initiatives, help activists and advocates, and why you should. If you have questions during discussion, you can pop them in the chat box. We'll do as many as we can at the end. Before I introduce our brilliant panelists, I'm going to give you two quick definitions. As previously mentioned, the media is rife with misinformation about what DEI actually is. So this is what the dictionary says. DEI stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's a set of values and related policies and practices that focus on establishing a group culture of equitable and inclusive treatment and on attracting and retaining a diverse group of participants, including people who have historically been excluded or discriminated against. Burnout is defined by the World Health Organization as an occupational phenomenon resulting from chronic workplace stress that has not been successfully managed. Its consequences being feelings of energy depletion or exhaustion, increased mental distance from one's job, feelings of negativism or cynicism related to one's job, and reduced professional efficacy. As DEI activists and advocates in the beer industry right now, the burnout we are feeling is harsh and exhausting. We hope that those watching will gain insight into the challenges we face and ways you can support us. Each of our panelists is a champion of DEI in the beer industry, whose activism and advocacy has helped forge the crucial progress that is now under threat. I'm so glad to welcome them all here today. I'm very grateful for them all being here. Well, I'm sure some of these faces are familiar to you. I'm going to ask each panelist to introduce themselves, say a few words about their work, and also to say what they are finding most challenging in their work at the moment. Lindsay, do you want to kick off?
Yes, if you might. Thank you for having me on this panel amongst amazing people. My name is, that's really weird to say, but Dr. Breezy, Keto. I recently just finished my PhD, so we're super happy about that. I am the founder and executive director of Beers for Everyone, a nonprofit which started during the pandemic to try to increase representation of our marginalized communities within craft beer and beyond. And it morphed kind of on its own into something of a educational and informational hub, as well as just a doer of all things and nothing at the same time. But we are very proud of the small work that we do, from content creation to hosting the Pride event at CBC every year. So we're very happy about that. And yeah, I think that's all that's important right now.
Oh, and the thing that you're finding most challenging in your work right now?
Yes, I would say that since all of us are experiencing burnout, one of the things that we're most concerned about, especially as a nonprofit, is our funding. We are seeing that there's a lot less funding coming into all initiatives in general, not just nonprofits, but there's a lot less collaborations and participations by for-profit and nonprofits in general. I think we're all stretched too thin. I think that a lot of companies have downsized their DEI programs, and since this is our focus, it is on the back burner for a lot of people. Are we supposed to explain how we alleviate that, or that's later?
That's great. We're going to be coming back to all of these points in the discussion. Thank you so much. Day, you're up next.
Hola, I'm Dave Breezy. I'm a man, so apologies for that. We're terrible. But I am the founder of Barrel and Flow. And the purpose of Barrel and Flow is to pay Black people. We find creative ways to pair Black people along the supply chain of the brewing industry. All of the alcohol, the 1.7 trillion global alcohol industry, wines, kombuchas, anything in a barrel. We try to connect Black folks to the supply chain, from the farms all the way down to the venues that serve it and whatnot. We do this through mutually beneficial relationships with the industry. The craft industry, especially the craft beer industry here in America, is plateauing in sales. It has. They're looking for marginalized communities to fill in those gaps, as they always do. And we're kind of gatekeeping that and saying, don't just sell us product, give us the same opportunities that were there for white folks. That's why white people love craft beer. It's an economic term. It doesn't mean like, small batch. It doesn't mean tasty. It means, small business. It's a microeconomy. So we're trying to build those microeconomies for Black folks across the world. In turn, you do, like you said, it does increase the bottom line, for these businesses and whatnot. So as far as the most concerning thing, the biggest thing for burnout for me, I guess, to be honest, I guess it's the idea that I'm going to die before the work is over. Change is slow. It's generational. A lot of people died before they saw the rights that we enjoy now. And sometimes, you spend years, working on something and you don't see the change that you want to see You see setbacks again. We have Trump in office. You see all these setbacks and whatnot, and it can be quite frustrating to not see the fruits of your labors and whatnot. So, yeah, I mean, not only with all the attacks and whatnot, but it's just, the attacks are now. It might get better next year, and then the year after that, it's going to get worse, right? So I think for burnout, that's kind of, knowing that, I'm always going to be doing this. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. These are all great points, and they're all going to be part of our ongoing discussion. Ren, can we hear from you, please?
Hey, I'm Ren Navarro. I run Be Diversity Group, which also includes Beer Diversity. I am here in Canada land. A lot of my stuff is around speaking, consuming, and consulting. I think that, and I've been doing it for 7 years, and a lot has changed in 7 years. I think that, from 2020, with the televised murder of George Floyd, there was a massive uptick, obviously, in how we were talking about DEI and how we were running with it. And then, Agent Orange 1.0 happened, and the way we were looking at things and how we were talking about things was starting to get rocky. And obviously now DEI are the three dirtiest letters that you can put together in a sentence. And I think that the big difference is that the folks who supported loudly for the first 2 years are incredibly quiet. And so the big thing I'm seeing is, because I was doing international work, is that it's not happening. A lot of places that would jump onto things are now like, we don't know if this fits in with our model. We don't know if this is something that we want to, connect with. And they're saying the quiet part out loud. I mean, that, we don't know if this is a thing. This is a conversation I had yesterday with a brewery that 4 years ago couldn't stop saying my name, and now are like, we don't really know you. So, part of that burnout is, it's not an imposter syndrome. It's just the understanding that you have kind of run your course, and someone has decided that you've run your course. And, the question of like, do we get back to another 2020 in 4 years? And, suddenly everyone is tripping over themselves to talk to all of us again. So there's that, and understanding that the people who have your back are the people who are also burned out. This should be a panel we're doing like every other day to remind people that like, we're really tired, and a lot of people are relying upon us to do the work, and we don't have the energy anymore in which to do so. I also don't have the funds to do it. It's like the part-time job is now my full-time job because this consulting work is just not where it used to be, which is incredibly frustrating and not surprising these days.
Yes, hard agree with all of that, unfortunately. That's, very, very much where I'm coming from too. Thank you so much, Ren. Allison.
Hello, everyone. My name is Allison Wasneski, and I am the co-owner and director of marketing and sales at Lady Justice Brewing. We are in Englewood, Colorado, which is a suburb outside of Denver. We are entering our 10th year in business as one of the only woman-owned, queer-owned, brewer-owned breweries in the world, which is very exciting and like sounds really cool on paper, and then you live it, and then it's way less cool. So yeah, that's kind of what I do. And so we have been working at Lady Justice basically since our inception to try and buck the system and the concept that women and non-binary people and queer people don't drink craft beer. That's really false. And we've looked at stats. They've been shared at GABF. They've been shared at CBC, that we are a growing market, and we're a market that people should be paying attention to. And it looks like those who are focused on DEI work recognize the importance of this. Those who aren't don't care and continue serving the same stuff to the same folks. I think the plus that we're seeing in the market, and Day did a really good job of pointing this out, like we're plateauing. And so if you're not including folks, you're going to fail. That's just a fact. So that's kind of the focus of the work that we are doing at Lady J. We are a philanthropic brewery, so we donate profits over cost of our memberships and specific beers on taps to organizations that promote the status of women, girls, and non-binary people in the state of Colorado, often through grants. And so we alternate monthly through a tap line, and then we have a membership program that this year we're benefiting 4 different organizations that desperately need our help. This current administration is a disaster. So we chose 4 organizations that we knew would be targeted, and that's been kind of the main focus of our work. I would say my heavy burnout is something everyone has kind of touched on. I work a full-time day job outside of Lady Justice. I have this whole time. I don't think that I will ever work at Lady Justice, A, for a paycheck, and B, full-time ever. That's the reality of what this work is. And so the burnout for me is real because I'm a marketing manager at a nonprofit. I spent all day yesterday deleting racist comments about Juneteenth off of our socials. And it's an organization that works with kids. And so the burnout exists for a lot of us who do this work, because it's not like we only do this work with a focus on craft beer. It's a general part of who we are and how we live our lives. And so if you think it's affecting us in beer, imagine what it's like for us in every other facet of our life. We're really tired. So having to go through and delete one crappy comment off your social is just the tip of the iceberg for what most of us are dealing with on a day-to-day basis.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry you had to go through that, Allison. That's horrendous. And yeah, I think the juggling of multiple responsibilities on top of the emotional and psychological stress is something that we've all been discussing in the build up to this. I also forgot to say to everyone, happy Pride Month and happy Juneteenth, and yay. This is a really great time to be having this discussion. That's one positive for today. So I have recapped all the fantastic points that everyone has made about what we're all finding the most challenging and what is causing us all to feel the most burnt out in our DEI work. I've broken them all down into subsections. So we're going to kick off the discussion going through them and talking about everyone's feelings and ideas. And so for each question, I would like all of you to think about how does this issue affect you? How do you deal with it? What advice can you offer to others feeling the same way, both on this panel and people watching? And what can everyone else who's tuned in today do to support us better around this issue? So I'm going to start with some of Allison's points here, which are around unrealistic, inappropriate expectations, unsolicited advice, negative online feedback, being a target, and bullying, and just the way that wears us down and how little we can actually do about it. So Ren, do you want to kick off? Let's start with how do you deal with conflict online and being a target?
So old me would, post it, but hide the person's name and be like, oh my God, these are things I get. New me is tired and burned out. And if you want to send me your real name, I will post you to the world. The last woman who did that, someone found her on Facebook and signed her up for a lot of really interesting things. So I think that now, everyone always said when they go low, you go high. And it was nah, I'm going lower. So it's just listen, you're coming after me because I want not to take things away from people. I want to make more space for folks. And if you're really mad about that, I'm going to tell you to your face, die mad about it, because I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. And I think that it's now bringing me the greatest amounts of joy, because it was just trying to convince people that the work I'm doing is good is exhausting. And I think the people who know, they know, right? It's if you know, you know, and understanding that if you do the right thing, at the end of the day, you'll make the money, you'll get the people coming in, you'll get the whatever you want, accolades, you want kudos, great. But if you're going to come for me, you're going to come for me. And I'm gonna put you out there. And I've got friends who are unhinged. So they told me some of the things that woman got signed up for, and I actually feel really bad for that lady. So I think that it's just you know what? I think I'm in my chaos gremlin era, and I'm here for it. And it's part of how I'm surviving it, because I think I was taking a lot of it to heart. These people have never met me. They don't follow me. They're not really watching what I'm doing. They're just popping up and being haters. So it was yo, I'll drink the haterade. Let's meet in the parking lot.
That is brilliant. Can we please have chaos prevalent era on a t-shirt? Somebody somewhere make this for us all. I can see a lot of head nods going on here. Day, do you want to pick up on that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm a comedian. So, I was just having a conversation yesterday or whatever. Comedy is maybe the only art, I don't know, one of the few arts where we invite people to heckle us. You know what I mean? So, and I also worked 10 years in social services. I mean, so when it comes to hecklers, online folks or whatever, at the beginning, I kind of was kind of like dumbfounded by it because I was like, all I'm doing is like paying people and I don't owe anybody money. Like I'm not like out here screwing people over or doing anything bad or whatever. But like the comments were like crazy and it was coming from, it comes from both sides. You know what I mean? Like it comes from, white folks who don't see, the value in this, that, and the other or whatever. But it also comes from Black folks in the community that you're working with because, you're not doing enough. You know what I mean? Which is wild. So that kind of threw me off, like not so much the white hate, but when I got, we had vaccine policies during the pandemic and people were like, oh, you're discriminating against Black Muslims. You know what I mean? Like, the vaccines or whatever. And I'm like, from last I checked, y'all weren't even allowed to drink alcohol. So who the fuck am I like? Maybe you want to read your book again, right? So that kind of threw me off at the beginning. But again, the same thing with comedy, same with social work or whatever. The changes is slow. You have to work with difficult folks. It's going to come from both sides. Kind of knowing that, and realizing that they are a small minority, right? Like it's so easy. I got caught up in like the maybe 5% of people who were very loudly saying the things and whatnot. And when I took a step back and like looked at the thousands of people that supported what we were doing, and the data and the research or whatever, I think that, really helps me to kind of just like, it's water off, my back. Because as an organizer, you do want to take in the feedback. You can't build community without feedback. But it's about, deciphering the feedback, what's good and what's not. And yeah, just knowing that it's a small minority and, just keeping moving forward,
Yeah, absolutely. And that getting that feedback, but sort of sorting the wheat from the chaff is really, really challenging. Thank you. Lindsay, do you want to pick up there for Viewers for Everyone?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I take a different approach. And this is probably actually not the greatest approach, but I just don't look at the comments at all. I think that, like Ren said, the people that know, and if we have to convince them, they're not our people. But I think that by showing up, we can be convincing to the people that are in the middle, the people that need to understand a little bit more in order to be allies. And I think that for my mental health and for the sustenance of everything that DEI is, for me, I don't pay attention to the trolls and to the people who are behind their keyboards because I understand that they're coming from a place of maybe not being able to understand. And that me personally, I will take that to heart and it will leave me shattered for days and I will not be able to function. And so I just don't look.
I think the taking the hit and not being able to function thing is something that I've really, really experienced as well, because it can feel absolutely soul destroying when people are coming after you like that. Allison, obviously, this was we just talked about your terrible experience of this. If there's anything more you wanted to add to that, please jump in. And also, just moving on slightly to kind of the next part of that, which is how do we manage the pressure of, as activists and advocates, always being the first point of contact when there's a problem, and how do we set boundaries around that?
Totally. So I said it before, we're a woman-owned, queer-owned space. My wife is Lebanese. Like there's a lot of targets that can point, and there's a lot of folks that are here listening to this conference right now who experience the same thing, right? Like, what are the things that you get targeted for? If you're not hiding any parts of your identity and you're on all the time, it just immediately is going to make you a target. And so it's kind of up to you. As Day said, it's 5% or less of the population who's out there being the loudest. So like, it's up to you on how do you want to deal with that? Do you want to go at them hard like Ren does? Do you want to ignore like Lindsay does? Like there's actually no right or wrong answer. It's what's best for you is how you can deal. For Lady Justice, because we're a physical space, we worked with Ren over about a year to build house rules. And part of that work for us was we're really clear about not saying we're a safe space, because in Donald Trump's America, we can't guarantee your safety. We just can't. And anyone's America. America is a shit show. So like, if we can't guarantee that reality for you, what can we guarantee? And part of that work for me is I'm going to make sure that people aren't making crappy comments online that would make you feel unsafe walking into our space. And it's the same thing that if you're agreeing to walk in the door with our house rules, I'm kind of expecting you to agree to that on our social media as well. So I am quick with a block. I do take a screenshot. We love to roast online. However, I treated myself 2 years ago. My wife and I had a video that went really viral, and it was awesome for visitors and for visibility and for engagement. And the comments online were posting our home address. There were people who were sending out like pretty specific threats to come and get us, or to teach us a lesson, or to show us a real man. Pretty upsetting things. So the way that I treated myself was, you have to follow Lady Justice to make a comment. Did this kill our engagement? A little bit. Did it protect my peace? Yes. Do I feel a little bit safer when I walk in the door of my home where I know the address has been posted online? Yeah. So, you take what you can give, and vice versa. That's kind of the biggest boundary that we've set. And also remembering that your social media is kind of your first line of defense. And so if people want to know about you, it's like when they search, I'm really good at SEO. That's my full-time day job, but our Instagram is still the first thing that comes up before our website. So what am I making really crystal clear? I want people to know exactly who the hell we are before they even decide to enter the space. This has been really helpful for things like food trucks. Turns out people are like racist, sexist, homophobic nightmares, even if they run a food truck. And so great, I don't want your food in my business. You can literally go somewhere else. That's, it's those types of examples of what are the ways that you're setting yourself up for success, so that it's not that you don't have to have the conversation. It's that they're not even going to approach you because they know exactly who you are when you start.
Absolutely. And again, this awful to hear what you'll have been through. And it's really, really encouraging to know the strategies that you've been able to employ to make yourselves feel safer, and to make the space safer. Day, in terms of Barrel and Flow, have you experienced sort of similar situations in terms, and how do you set boundaries for making the space as safe as possible, and around your social medias?
So shout out to Ren. She was very open years ago about, her burnout, and being like, listen, man, you know what I mean? Like, don't be coming at me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not just here for this. Like, I'm a human being. I'm more than just, the face that you see online or whatever. And that was powerful for me. And, like, just in general, as a small business owner, and like, I do multiple things. I'm a comedian. I run this festival, a TV show. Like, I do resource coordination. I mean, I speak. I do all these various things, and it's a lot of it is fun, right? This is a passion, and I call it the blur. We live in the blur where, like, people go, oh man, you must, like, you made your passion a profession. It must be so fun and whatnot. And like, don't get me wrong, there are fun times, right? I was just in Barcelona last month. Like, I'm in Atlanta right now, at this Crafted for Action conference. Like, it's, there are amazing points of it, and it can feel like, like fun, as if, like, the social side of it, and it's fun, but it's still work. And having that, like, that delineation, like that, just kind of splitting that up. So when I'm here, I know that I'm working. Even if it's fun, it's still work. That's different from when I'm hanging out with my homie from day one that we was in diapers with, right? Yeah, we're drinking, we're cracking jokes, this, that, and the other, whatever, but it's still a different energy that's expended when you're doing that versus, you know what I mean, when you're not. And like, it's hard to know that. I mean, because we're in the food beverage industry. We are the fun. So like, all my friends and family, they hit me up when they're looking for like fun things to do. You know what I mean? Da, 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 da. And like, a lot of the times they want to go to the places that like I work in, you know what I mean? And I didn't realize I was miserable. Like I hated this festival for years, man. Like I wasn't making money. You know what I mean? Like I was getting hate online and, I was talking to a friend and she's like, what you got going on tonight? And I was like, man, I got to get on stage and like host this fucking event. And there's going to be, a bunch of alcohol and like people or whatever. She's like, I want you to get to a point where you are happy to do the cool shit that you're doing. And that's when it dawned on me that I was quote unquote successful, but I wasn't happy and I was miserable. And it was because like I was just living totally in the blur. I was always available. I was always out doing things. I was always, people would like strike conversations up and it would just lead into work. Yeah, I mean, no matter where I go in Pittsburgh, if you see me out, somebody's going to come up and go, hey, how's Barrel and Flow? Da, da, da. And now I'm fucking talking about Barrel and Flow, whatever, right? So, just kind of like knowing when I'm on and when I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm down here for Crafted for Action. I'm on right now, you know what I mean? Like, but there's going to be a point where like I'm off and I don't want to talk about that shit. Don't ask me about Barrel and Flow. Don't ask me about DEI. Don't ask me about how to pay this, that, and the other, whatever. I'm over here smoking a blunt, having a good time. And you know what I mean? My clock is punched at 9 a.m. tomorrow, right? And people take offense to that sometimes. But a lot of people appreciate that and respect that because, they don't even understand that they are doing it, right? Like we get together and then we get to start talking about work and it's like, do we really want to talk about work right now? Yeah, I mean, it's midnight. Like, do we really want to go in that conversation or do we want to like table that for some time later or whatever? So, that really has helped out. I have my off time, I have my on time, and I have my blur time. And knowing the difference and setting those aside really has helped. And like I said, watching Ren kind of like, publicly like kind of come out and like say those things or whatever years ago really kind of like helped me with that as well. So thank you for that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And I think that that's a really, really important point is how we in our own heads delineate that time into work time and fun time and allowing ourselves to be off, allowing ourselves to switch off and get out of work mode just to keep ourselves sane. I think a very interesting point that you made was when a big part of this burnout is something that we got into, for fun because we're passionate about it and because we care. When fun becomes not fun, and all of these things and how that affects us. Ren, do you want to pick up on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's I think that I've always been pretty open, and I think that it was really because of what Jay's talking about, that like ability to kind of make this, this is public, this is private. And when I started, I was a little too oversharey. And, when people come up to my wife and are like, oh my God, I loved seeing you in blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I didn't post about that. So I definitely changed how I talked about things because I didn't realize that, being a public figure means you're a public figure. And so part of the big piece of being so open about being burned out was to kind of tell people like, listen, when you see me, please don't run up to me because it's actually going to freak me out. I'm an extrovert for money. So it's like, if I'm hanging with friends, like the last thing I want is someone in my face being like, I love the work you do. I love how you did this like big, crazy thing. And it's like, I don't want to think about it. I will punch in that clock in the morning, but right now I am here drinking my really crappy beer that, like watching a game somewhere and just having like the best time. And I think that being so open about the burnout lets people understand that, yes, I love the work I do, but like, I am serious when I say that this work is killing me. And it's not, it's not in like, oh, well, yeah, but like, trust me, I will show you my therapy bills. Like it's one of those things where it's just like, we need people to remember that you can't just leave it to us. If we're all in this situation and we're all talking about punching out clocks and trying to just live our lives, like each one of us on this panel cannot separate ourselves from the work we do because we are part of the groups that are always impacted. And that is what people forget. right? It's like, oh, why do you care so much about queer rights? Well, because I'm queer, so I can't take off my queer jacket at the end of the day and be like, well, I'll just leave that till tomorrow. Can't like not think about being Black. So I think that it's really creating this barrier to be like, I am a Black, queer, disabled woman who always has to think about it and always has to live it. But sometimes I don't have to talk about it. And that is the big piece that I'm really trying to push out to people. It's like, yes, for you, white, straight, not disabled person, it's fascinating for you, but like that is my everyday mediocrity. And sometimes I just need to be left alone with my beer.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very much the same. I just want that time to and for people not to be thinking, oh, what are you drinking? Why are you drinking it? Just to like live a bit. And it's really hard to find that space. Lindsay, how do you manage to set those boundaries?
I think this is something that I'm still very much trying to learn how to do. I think, like Ren said, and that everyone else said, that like having a passion also be inherently who we are, and that the fight feels like it's never ending, because it is. If we stop fighting, then we're in a lot of ways. I feel all the time that we're giving up on ourselves, and it is exhausting because you deal with this type of guilt that, oh, if you're not doing the work, then you're not doing the work for your people, and you're not doing the work for your family. And it's just like this cycle that is so vicious that if you don't take a step back, you just consume. And I think a lot of us unfortunately realize that only when it becomes too late, and that the burnout has already set in. So setting boundaries for me has just been knowing that if I need a break, I don't have to feel guilty about that. And that resting for us especially is an act of resistance. That if we do not rest, we will not be able to continue the work. And that, like Dave said, this is generational work. And if we can't do this for ourselves and for our lifetimes, like it has to be something that we can sustain and that we feel good about at the end of the day. I think that, we deal with a lot of guilt and self-hatred in a lot of ways that we can't just be on all the time. And I know that forgiving myself, I think, is a huge thing, because I ran myself to the ground and underneath it, and that did no one good. So learning that priorities and actually listing them down, writing them down, and remembering to look back at them when I feel like I'm going crazy has been helpful for me.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point, is remembering to be kind to ourselves, to give ourselves that space. And I really liked what you said, that resting is an act of resistance. And I think that's really, really important for everyone to remember. I'm going to move on slightly now to points that both Day and Lindsay made about finances. So how the lack of funding is impacting on all of our work, and how it's affecting our collaborations, our networks, and our ability to push that baton forward, as Day was saying, and make change that we can see within our lifetimes, as it were. So I'm going to start off talking about navigating financial pressure. Day, do you want to start off with this one?
Yeah. So, I don't know. I guess we're a little different. Because we are entertainment based. It's edutainment. It's a pill and a doggy biscuit. We trick people into doing good things. It's like, oh shit, I didn't realize I was paying Black people. So our funding is very diverse in that. So we get sponsorships, we have grants, ticket sales, merch, and that diversity in funding helps, because right now sponsorships are not there, right? George Floyd happened 2020 and people had their checkbooks open and everybody was pouring in trying to whatever. And I told people then, I was like, listen, like, get it now, but like build and like knowing that this is going to dry up at some point, because, charity is different from, offering a product or service. I mean, where people see the value in that, right? And I try so hard to like only work with people who see the value in that. So it's very slow in, slow out with the funding, right? Like sponsorships, I turn down sponsorships all the time from people who are just trying to buy a black friend. They just want to put their name on something and be like, look, I'm not racist. They put, like I'm at Barrel and Flow, right? So, we don't work with any of the major sports organizations in the city. We don't work with the largest Pittsburgh Brewing Company. We don't work with Yingling, right? There's various, monies that are offered us. We turned down founders before that whole debacle because we were like, this ain't right. And I'm so glad we did that. We turned down Brewdog. I mean, when they came at us and we were like, nah, y'all ain't sitting right. And thank you so much. Cause we see what they are. Right. So, not all money is good money. But you do need money to exist and to move forward. And I've been very fortunate that our number one source of funding has and always will be ticket sales. It's the community that funds this movement, right? So, at the end of the day, that does allow me to maintain the integrity of the festival. When you come in, you're not walking by and seeing like a McDonald's stand there. Like that doesn't make any fucking sense, right? Like, because with that funding, I'm very protective, and I listen to the community. And if we're moving the wrong way, the community will show by not supporting that, right? So, we are, that keeping that funding, the number one source of it, allows us, so when the grants don't come in, when the sponsorships don't come in, merch sales might be a little bit light this year, whatever. There's all these, we had rain the one year, and that cost me $50,000 because it was raining outside, right? So having that base and that core of community that is supporting that definitely helps move forward. And like I said, having that diversity in funds, sponsorships are bad this year. Grants are picking up a little bit more. But I'm sure next year those will be light. But at the end of the day, year in and year out, our ticket sales continue to increase at a very predictable pace. And as long as I'm doing the work, I feel like that's going to continue. And even if, we get zero sponsorships, zero grants, zero, merch sales, this, that, and the other, whatever, now I might be a little fucked up. You know what I mean? Like I might have to figure out, where my next pack of ramen is going to come from. But the movement is still going to be there as a result. And that is, kind of where I find some kind of peace in that, because at the end of the day, this is a movement. Yeah, I am making money off of it. Finally, it took 7 years. But at the end of the day, if I make $0 off of this, but we are introducing, this DJ, DJ Icy Pisces. She came into the festival as a DJ, and now she's currently in brewing school, learning how to brew beer and whatnot. She didn't like beer coming into this, and now she's brewing it. That for me is worth everything.
That's fantastic. Yeah, and that's really, really great to hear that you've been able to keep the festival going while keeping true to your principles and keeping it as safe and as a space as possible for marginalized groups, and being able to fish out the dodgy characters in advance. Lindsay, how has the lack of funding, the reduction in funding impacted on Beer is for Everyone, and sort of how do you handle those pressures and set realistic goals, and how do we kind of navigate that in the current environment?
Yeah, I would say that when I founded Beers for Everyone, a lot of it was self-funded. In my personal life, I was doing a lot better than I am now. So anything above a certain amount, I would just like take on more writers so that we could have as much educational, critical content out there. So at one point we were up to, I believe, 12 writers. And unfortunately, because, I am also not doing well in this current economy. So the scaling has been very drastic for that. And so we relied a lot. We have been relying a lot on funding from other places, such as grants. And I have had to really step in as my own writer as well to try to keep it going. I think that a lot of the other programs that we have, such as our mentorship and grant programs, luckily those have been able to sustain themselves. But I know that for us, since I think DEI has become less of a topic for people, there's been less funding for our writing. And so we haven't been able to pay our writers, and we want to pay our people too. So we haven't been able to do that. I am currently lost my train of thought because it's so early in the morning. I'm so sorry. So we're gonna go to somebody else that is more awake right now.
Gosh, I'm sorry. It is very, very early for you there. I'm aware. Ren, do you want to talk a little bit about how the financial implications of DEI rollback have affected you? I also just want to say I didn't realize time is getting a little bit away from us. So after this one, I'm going to start compressing things a little bit so we can hopefully cover as much ground as possible. So I was not watching the clock because it's been such a great discussion. Sorry.
I'm going to say the fastest thing really is just that people don't want to spend the money anymore because they don't want to be seen that they're, doing the right thing. Everyone is following the political trail that keeps them in business and keeps their lights on. And right now it's saying that paying all of us on this panel is the wrong thing to do. Those folks are going to figure it out. We're seeing backlash. We're seeing, really successful boycotts happening of very large corporations. And I don't think it's going to stop anytime. And I think that places like Lady J, who are, they're keeping the lights on, are really, they need the folks who don't know where to go to start figuring it out. If you live in a place that you can't buy their beer, buy their merch. Start supporting each one of us through merch, through following, through highlighting, through pushing it. Just because you don't have the money doesn't mean that I don't want to talk to you. It's get me in front of someone else, get all of us in front of someone else. Here's a few bucks, and that's the change that we can start to see, because my bank account desperately needs it.
Very, very well said. Allison, what do you want to add on the subject of the financial difficulties we're all currently experiencing?
I think the speedy one, we moved locations about a year and a quarter ago. And we have been open successfully for 10 years. We were in the black and we could not get a loan. So the expectation of, no, I see you successful online, you must be doing really well, does not often portray into the reality of what finances are, especially for business owners. And so there's a lot of assumptions that go into this. And again, we had to take out multiple small loans with incredibly high interest rates just to make a move. And that's insane. So the expectation of what people see online, what they, everyone on this panel has a very successful online presence, and I would not call any of us rich. So the assumption that goes with that with people online is we're not influencers. We're small business owners who are trying to create a space that reflects who we want to see in our spot. That doesn't mean we're rich. In fact, that means we're probably broke as shit. So assume we're broke, come support. It's exactly what they were saying. Share us online. Show up when you can, find us at conferences. And when we're on and working, we're happy to talk to you. And when we're not, you can sit and have a beer with us and shut up.
Very, very well said. Thank you. So I'm gonna move on to Lindsay's points now. Please try and keep answers brief because we've still got Ren's to do as well. So we're going to talk a bit about how we're navigating the maze of challenges on multiple fronts and still retaining our connection to our community. We have touched on this a bit. So how we're handling the pressure of the current administration, all the misinformation, the bullying that is coming from the top down, how to manageably show up for our community, and also really importantly, how to handle the internalized pressure that we feel to not let other people down. Bren, do you want to start off with this one?
Sorry, I'm on the wrong computer. I mean, I feel like the whole notion of letting people down is like the thing that I'm getting over because I'm burned out. Like, you know, getting into that period of burnout was the fear of letting people down. And I realized that a lot of people let me down. And I've been trying to like climb, you know, mount, not let people down for too long. And I think that you know, a lot of therapy and a lot of chatting with people who are in the same boat is really important. And at the end of the day, it's like, what am I letting you down on because I didn't do the work that you couldn't be bothered to do? And so really understanding that I need to protect my, you know, what little energy I have is kind of what's saving me. And I think that understanding that like, you can't keep doing it. You can't do it all and you can't please everyone. And I think that also understanding that you don't want to please everyone. And, you know, listen, what is it? You know, you can't help anyone until you put your own oxygen mask on. I'm still struggling to grab my oxygen mask. So, you know, sorry, can't help you.
That is, yeah, that is so true. And I think that we all tend to forget that, yeah, it is our oxygen mask on first. And that is really, really easy to do. Day, do you want to add anything to that?
I just want to say thank you, Lindsay. I am not a fucking influencer. There's more to me than this, you know, smooth, silky voice and beautiful face. I actually am doing something. So yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, that's it, right? Like we're doing something. And you know, like to Ren's point, I mean, like people can't be bothered to do this work. They have complaints. People have all the opinions in the world or whatever, but like they don't come with solutions. And we're out here actually doing the work. So you're not going to fucking kill me because that's what they want to do. They want us to burn out. They want to see, you know, and someone said earlier, rest is an act of resistance. So, you know, just knowing that, you know, in order for me to do this work, I have to be in a good place. So, yeah, no, I mean, if I'm letting you down, then I don't know. I don't know if I was the guy that you wanted in the first place.
Love that. Thank you. Allison.
So I am a firm believer when somebody, you know, like you're letting me down, like a common denominator that happens at Lady Justice is you should. A rule in our business is we do not you should anything to anyone who works here. We're not telling anyone what they should or shouldn't do. But it comes from the public a lot. You should host this event. You should make this beer. You should support this organization. So many you shoulds. And I'm telling you, that is a daily DM. You should support me because blah. You should pay for my top surgery. You should, constant. My response in my heart, I don't say it out loud, but I am going to say it here. You should go open your own brewery and you can do all the ideas you want to. I'd be so proud to come and support you. The reality is we cannot be everything for everyone at all times, but we can commit to the things that we want to do. Exactly what Lindsay said. Write down your goals and make sure you're meeting them. Check in with what they are. If they change, that's wonderful. It turns out life is malleable. Make that work for you, but don't do things for other people to feel proud of you, to feel like you're doing this thing that like really matters to this dude on the side of the road. Like that's not what it's about. Commit to what you said you were going to do and let them make their own space if that's what they want to do.
And that's, yeah, that is very, very, very good advice. And it's great that we are in a space where we can say these things because they do really need to be said. Lindsay, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think for me, like I shift my focus from who we're letting down to who we're actually amplifying and who we are showing up for. I think that for activists and for anybody in this space that's doing the work, we need to have a network of people that at any given time we can be like, hey, do you have the capacity to hear me out? I need to vent for a minute. You know, we need to have our friends and our family really that will be there for us and that we can rely on. And so much of what we do is community centered. So we need to rely on our community and not be ashamed to, even though we are considered leaders within our industry, we need to have our people too. So it can't just be a hierarchy of things. It needs to be circular and community oriented. And we need to feel like we can be vulnerable with our people. And so the people we're letting down, awesome. To the people that actually are there for us, we are so grateful. But I think that if we shift our focus, then maybe we'll be surviving.
Yeah, absolutely. It really does have to be a two-way street. I think we've just about hopefully got enough time to cover Ren's points about dealing with people who pay lip service to DEI, the people who, as we've all been discussing, jumped on the bandwagon back in 2020, 2021, and have just like now shown that they were very insincere. And also finding ways to appreciate ourselves and our work, finding ways to stay positive. You said to me, Ren, finding ways to think, what do you admire most about yourself, and keeping our own headspaces in a good way while still having to deal with the disappointment from those who have let us down. Allison, do you want to start off with this one?
Oh boy. So I think if you're doing the work naturally, you're going to continue doing the work. If you were paying lip service, everybody's going to figure it out pretty fucking quick. That's the fastest thing I have. And I'm seeing the question in here from Shaq from Our Culture Brewing. What's been sustainable is we do the work and then we live into the work. It's that simple. For us, that was paying Ren to come to Denver to talk to our team about this is how you build these goals. Then we did a bunch of work and then we did it again. Okay, now that we have this is what Lady Justice Brewing stands for. How do we tell the world? So then we came up with what those house rules were. That's what felt authentic to who we are. And it has been the easiest way for our staff to feel comfortable and safe when they come into work every day, knowing that we're a targeted business. So they get to come in, and if somebody says one thing, it's, do you see that big ass canvas that Allison had printed that's hung up when you walk in the door? You're breaking rule number 2, get the fuck out. It really can be that simple. If you have a business that you know what you want to do, you serve veterans, you donate to dogs, you only make loggers, whatever the hell it is that your thing is, find out what that's rooted in, find out what feels true to you, make that your business, make that your culture, make that what you want it to be. Don't do the dumb shit of we're a safe space for all, because A, you can't guarantee that, and B, you're probably not. So like, ask yourself who you're a safe space for, ask yourself what you're trying to build, make it really clear, and then train that on your staff. Our staff signs that in the handbook. We will live into this. If we find that they're not, it's actually a pretty easy way for us to have the conversation of go out the door. And bless, we don't have to. I'm obsessed with everyone at Lady Justice. So it's easy to live into it when you're doing it truthfully. If you don't want to do it truthfully, honestly, we don't want you to. Don't fake it. Do your shitty shit. Go for it. Let me know how that goes for you in 10 years. I bet it won't be so great. All of us on this call won't be drinking your beer.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Lindsay, do you want to add anything to that?
I'll be really quick. I think that in general, for everybody, not just in craft beer, but if you're not integrating DEI at every single level and within every single person in your company, it is not DEI. If you just have a DEI section and you refer to them every once a month, that is not a company culture of DEI. It needs to be at every single level and within every single person within your institution.
Brilliant. Thank you. Dave, do you want to make any last comments on that one?
Yeah, so I mean, with Barrel and Flow, we don't take volunteers. We don't take donations. We enter into mutually beneficial relationships, right? We are a for-profit business and we do make profits. And that kind of helps weed out the people who are just in it for a little bit, right? Every relationship that we have, whether you're working for us, whether you're sponsoring us, whether you're even buying a ticket and whatnot, there is an understanding of what you're getting out of this. You know what I mean? And that helps when rich white people pull up on me and offer me money because they're nice. I don't fuck with that. You know what I mean? Because how long is that going to last? What is your motive? What are you getting out of this? Whatever, right? And I think by having those understandings and those conversations, I think a lot of people are afraid to have that because they're afraid of turning down money. Which I get it. You know what I mean? It's hard to especially in this work. But by doing that, by having those difficult conversations up front and understanding exactly what somebody's motive is, helps you to kind of see when they're going to turn, right? We worked with Sam Adams for years, you know what I mean? And, they came in and they were like, and then they were all, oh yeah, they came in one year and then they ghosted us. You know what I mean? Right after that. But it was very clear why they were coming in. And I see the work that they're doing now elsewhere and whatnot. And it makes sense, that they move that way. Luckily, we weren't depending on them or any of our, funders or whatnot that we get or whatever for that. Because at the end of the day, it's a new conversation. Every year we start a new conversation. We go, hey, are you in this? And if you are, what are you doing to like do this? Not just for Barrel and Flow, but what are you doing throughout the fucking year? You know what I mean? Don't just punch your card once a year. What are you doing throughout the year? And by having those conversations up front and having that understanding, I think it helps, weed out the bullshit.
Great. We've got 1 more minute. Ren, do you want to jump in on that one very quickly?
I'm just going to quote the Manic Street Preachers, which is like the most underrated UK band. If you tolerate this, then your children will be next.
Brilliant. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate your time today. Sorry we had to rush through some of the later bits a little bit. It's been such a brilliant conversation. I hope everyone watching has got a lot out of it and has got a really good grasp of what's going on, what we're experiencing, how you can help, what you should all be doing to support the industry, support us, and really support yourselves. As you said, Bren, this is for all of us. Thank you so much, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. You can catch this on YouTube as a recorded session. And thank you so much to our panelists. You've made this conference so amazing, and we're so excited that you're here. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Awesome.